Hey there, Survivor fans. Welcome to a special edition of Survivor Vlogs. It's April Fool's Day, so I thought it would be fun to talk about some of the funniest moments of Survivor history. These aren't necessarily the funniest moments. These are just the funniest moments I could think of. If you guys can think of any funnier moments or anything that's this funny, leave a comment, make a video response, whatever you want to do. But these are just some that came to my mind yesterday. I jotted them down on this piece of paper here. I'll try to make them brief. The first one I wrote down was from the current season. I loved it. It was the first tribal council when Philip couldn't say Francesca's name right. He kept saying Francesqua. And just the longer that went on, the more I laughed. And the second one was from, these are more or less in the order from least funny to funniest. So hopefully they'll get funnier to you as it goes along. Second one was from season 12, the Exile Island season. Remember when Shane got this weird rash on his, basically his privates, his penis? And he wanted Cirie as a nurse, so he wanted Cirie to look at it. She's like, I don't want to look at it. And it was funny. I have to go back and watch that episode again sometime. I've kind of forgotten the details, but it was funny. Third thing I wrote down was Rupert and the shoes. Remember that first episode of Pearl Islands? Rupert's sitting there in the little village in Panama, and the other tribe leaves their boatload of shoes in front of him, and he just looks at him, and he's like, pirate steal, and he starts taking all their shoes and selling them. I loved it. Fourth thing I wrote down was Judd and the Clue. What that was is season 11 in Guatemala. Remember, Judd, as part of winning a reward, he got this clue to where a hidden immunity idol was. It was the first time they had a hidden immunity idol in the game, so he got this clue, and it was telling him where to look for the hidden immunity idol, and it said, basically it said it was up in the tree. So he tries to lie to the tribe and say, I can't quite make heads or tails of that clue, but I know for one thing, it's on the ground somewhere. It's got to be on the ground. And so then later, Gary Hogaboom is walking through the woods, and he sees Judd looking up in the trees, and he's like, why is he looking up in the trees if the idol's on the ground? And then Gary ended up finding the idol. Next one on my list was the season 20 Heroes vs. Villains. Last episode of it when Sandra took Russell's hat and threw it in the fire. I just thought that was, I laughed. I'm sure some Russell fans didn't like that, but I thought it was hilarious. Next thing I wrote down was season 16, Fans versus Favorites. I love this. Remember, they were doing an obstacle course challenge, and tribe members had to be shackled together, and they had Joel, who was this big, beefy, muscular, athletic guy, and Chet, who's this little, scrawny, wimpy, not athletic at all, and they're trying to run this obstacle course thing together, and Chet keeps falling down, and he just can't, and finally at the end, Joel, shoves him or drops him or something, and Chet goes, you hurt me, and Joel says, I don't care, and Chet goes, I know. Sorry, it's sadistic, but I think it's hilarious. The next thing I wrote down, Survivor Australia Outback. Remember this? Okay, this isn't a disrespect to the vegetarians out there, but Kimmy, she loved the chickens, and she started naming the chickens and making them into pets, and it was annoying Alicia, and they ended up getting in this argument. And I don't care. The argument could have been about anything. It was hilarious. If you have not seen that episode, it was the funniest argument ever on Survivor, especially when Alicia's yelling at Kimmy, and she's shaking her finger, and Kimmy's like, don't shake your finger in my face, and Alicia goes, I will always shake my finger in your face. You got to see it. It's hilarious. And then there's a little Elizabeth right kind of in the middle, just trying to pretend like she's not there. And next thing I wrote down was remember in Survivor 20 Heroes vs. Villains when JT thought that Russell was in trouble, so he wrote kind of a little love letter to him, and then they had Russell and Parvati sitting there reading it and laughing at. I gotta admit that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Next thing I wrote down was just Austin. That was from Pearl Islands. This guy, Austin, he was like this big, muscular, athletic-looking guy, and you thought, oh, he's going to go a long ways in the game. He's going to be really good. He was pretty good at challenges, some of the challenges, but the thing is, other than being a big, strong guy, he was a wimp in so many other ways. He didn't like the jungle. He was afraid of it. He was afraid of pelicans. He was afraid of being in the water. He was just like, he was afraid of everything. He ended up being the first person to quit Survivor because he was afraid he was going to get pneumonia or some stupid thing. So Austin, just to me, was just funny. Next thing I wrote down, this is one of my this and the last thing I wrote down are my top two favorite Survivor moments, I think, as far as funny moments goes. Anyway, remember in season season 13, when they did the whole racial thing, they did it was the Cook Islands episode, or the Cook Islands season, and remember the Hispanic tribe, I can't remember their name, but the Hispanic tribe threw a challenge so that they could get rid of Billy, and Billy turns to Candace, who was on the white people tribe, and he's like, I'm next to go, they're getting rid of me, and Candace is just kind of like, she didn't know what to say, and she's like, well, we love you. And then at Tribal Council, Billy is telling Jeff Probst how he found love on Survivor, that he and Candace had this romance going, and he took this whole we love you thing as meaning that she wants him and that she's his girlfriend now. And it was so funny. But the last thing I wrote down, this goes back to the first season. Remember they had a challenge where it was an individual challenge. I don't remember what the challenge was, but whoever won would get to watch a videotape from somebody from home. So Greg won, and this videotape was oh my gosh, it was so funny. His sister, I believe her name was Julie, was sitting there making all these weird animal noises and talking gibberish, and just it was just completely absurd. And then Greg makes one back where he's talking to her as if there's a lot of incest going on, and it's like everybody else in the tribe going, like, what does he do it with his sister? I mean, what's going on here? And the funniest moment, though, was when Rudy, while Greg is making his video, Rudy leans in and says, hey, would we be doing you a favor if we killed this kid? To me, that's the funniest thing that ever happened on Survivor. Anyway, that's it. If you guys have any things that you think are funnier or just as funny, leave a comment, make a video, whatever you want to do. I gotta go. Bye.